to them in the system. So we can see that we have quite a few alarms. So we want to reduce the amount of alarms. So we'll just put in ECUA as the unit and press apply. So all the alarms for ECUA that have ever happened will be shown now on your MOP screen. You can also say that I remember on my last contract ECUA, and then we can put in the date from and to and also apply that, and then reduce the data even more. And if you're one of a fantastic memory, you can also go to the exact date and time, and then you can also reduce it even further. Once you have reduced it, then you are able to export the data. And when inserting the USB stick, please be aware that if you haven't reduced the list, then you can only export the data that the USB stick can cope with. You cannot insert a hard disk drive. You cannot insert an external hard disk to do this. It has to be a USB stick. Cool. You can see when we are looking at the list, on the right hand side we have the status and the manually cut out, automatic cut out, and acknowledged. So we can see that if we have any of our alarms acknowledged, it tells us when it was happening, and we can see also who did what, if they did anything at all. The system demands any sort of acknowledgement. If it is an automatic cutout, then it is the system acknowledging this, the alarm for you. It doesn't need any interaction from the operator itself. Okay. So, some things to remember when you are looking at the system, using the system. When you're invalidating, you invalidate an input channel. What are the only input signals you cannot invalidate? What are the only input signals you cannot invalidate? What do you think the only input signals you cannot invalidate are?
Low pressure.
Not quite. Anything else?
Taco sensors alarm.
Why the taco?
Because this taco system is they substitute the cam. So if the cam cannot be read, then all the system will go haywire.
Yes. The taco system, it has to have 4 valid signals. Can you remember the two encoders, encoder A and encoder B? They have to have the 4 valid signals. So they need to have marker master, marker slave, quadrature 1, quadrature 2 in your A system. If you can invalidate one of those, then you're inadvertently invalidating the whole taco system. Can you remember we need to have 4 valid values for your angle encoder A and the same 4 valid values for encoder B. Remove one of those, the system thinks it has a failing encoder, therefore you are taking your encoder out of action. So therefore they are the only ones that you cannot invalidate. Okay, gents?
But wouldn't like a fuel pump feedback wouldn't be something as almost as important also?
It is important, but of course you can invalidate the input there.
Okay.
There are with your feedback sensor from your fuel booster, there's depending on the software age, depends on if you can invalidate or you would just disconnect the cable to your feedback sensor. The same with your exhaust valve. Of course, you would lose the monitoring of the position of your fuel plunger, but then you are also able to remove the slowdown. Yeah, because the system has nothing to compare it to. So therefore, it doesn't think there is a problem, and therefore it will continue to run. I wouldn't advise that unless you were certain of the situation, but that is what you can do.
And during the same time, you can put the same alarms to cutoff list so they don't even disturb you while you're doing that.
Why? We cannot protect the engine from human interference. So
Okay.
of course, when you do it in a collective like that, it is not responsible. But if you do it singularly, so if you have an alarm, you can cut out alarms. You can't. It's not possible to say all of these or some of these cannot be done. I understand the point, but this is where common sense should prevail. Yeah, because this was said about when you are cutting out alarms, when you are, you can see here now, I cannot cut an alarm without chief access. So if you are actually going into chief access, then you are making the decision that you know what you're doing. Yeah. I fully understand your concern. Trust me. Are there any other questions?
The alarms list, is the expert function quite? I already see it's quite simple, but is the file like small enough to be sent by email to the office?
This export function here, when you are exporting it, it will be exported in an SQL file. So the data you export, it's going to be limited to whatever you can transfer. And I think, is it 10 megabyte on Outlook? I think something like that.
And then how big are normally the logs?
Yeah, I honestly do not know. It depends on what filter you are placing on. Depends on how much it fills. I honestly do not know.
Okay.
Any other questions, gentlemen? We sort of zoomed through the pages. So if there are any questions whatsoever, please ask. We have the time to get through them now. Everyone's happy with invalidating channels. Everyone's happy with cutting out alarms. Everyone is happy with the input-output test. So taking a controller into test mode and checking outputs. Okay, yes, I can see. Yes. Kuhan.
Yeah, I have a question regarding this network status. Okay, since this is only a display, just say that currently